Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you guys with the most up-to-date political, economic and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in.
Okay, happy Wednesday everybody. Halfway through the week, I hope you're having a productive one so far. First up, we need to talk about our old friend, Chinese property giant Evergrande, the developer which, though was not the cause, was the trigger for the now years-long housing crisis in China, a crisis which continues to bedevil policymakers in Beijing. This week, Evergrande revealed its financial position for the first time since its default back in 2021. The group, which is currently in a restructuring process, reported losses of almost $500 billion in 2021, and over 100 billion RMB for 2022, putting total losses over the 2-year period at $81 billion. Revenues halved in 2021 to 250 billion RMB, compared with $500 billion RMB a year earlier. Meanwhile, Evergrande's debt has also soared, with total liabilities reaching nearly 2.6 trillion yuan at the end of 2021, moderating somewhat down to 2.4 trillion, $330 billion in late 2022. Evergrande also has 1,519 lawsuits pending against it, according to this most recent release. The publication of these numbers now is very telling. Quote, "The release of results seems to indicate that management and regulators have finally accepted that a housing rebound isn't imminent. Recent economic data shows that Evergrande cannot simply wait until the current crisis passes and then release results in a more favorable environment. Evergrande's results show a company that no longer has a business model capable of supporting its existing debt. A politically difficult and economically painful sector bailout is on the way, even if Beijing hasn't yet accepted this reality." End quote. While we are here, in Monday's video, we already looked at fresh numbers on the property sector. The National Bureau of Statistics published a further breakdown of the gross domestic product data on Tuesday. According to these official numbers, China's property industry contracted again in the second quarter after a brief expansion in the previous 3 months. Real estate declined 1.2% in the April through June period, year on year. Next up, in a surprise move, yesterday, former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger met with PRC Defense Minister Li Shuangfu, who was under U.S. sanctions, in Beijing, his first known visit to China in 4 years. Kissinger, of course, was instrumental in establishing formal U.S.-PRC relations back during the Nixon era. According to the PRC readout of the meeting, Kissinger expressed, quote, "I came on this visit as a friend of China. Today's world is full of challenges and opportunities. The US and China should eliminate misunderstandings, coexist peacefully, and avoid confrontation. History and practice have repeatedly proven that neither the US nor China can afford the cost of treating each other as opponents. If the two countries go to war, it will not bring any meaningful results to the people of the two countries." End quote. For his part, Li expressed, quote, "President Xi Jinping proposed 3 principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation, which pointed out the correct way for China and the United States to get along in the new era." End quote. It is claimed that the meeting was a private trip. A U.S. State Department spokesperson told the press yesterday, quote, "I will say he was there under his own volition, not acting on behalf of the United States government." End quote, adding that Kissinger might later brief U.S. officials on his meetings, as he has done in the past. The meeting comes as high-level military dialogue between China and the US remains frozen. The US sanctioned Li in 2018 over a Russian arms purchase. Beijing maintains that these sanctions prevented a sit-down between Li and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin at the recent Shangri-La dialogue. Military-to-military communication mechanisms are often the last lines of defense to prevent a military accident or misunderstanding escalating to something much more dangerous. Regular viewers know that establishing military-to-military communication mechanisms as a form of guardrails in the US-China relationship has been an express aim of several US delegations in recent months, including recently by Secretary of State Blinken. It is thus hoped that Kissinger's back-channeling here may break open this impasse. It's worth noting that Kissinger is currently 100 years old. I certainly hope that I have some of his energy when I too enter the autumn days of my life. Meanwhile, climate Czar John Kerry is also in Beijing. He met with Premier Li Qiang on Tuesday, and speaking with top diplomat Wang Yi in a separate meeting in the Great Hall of the People, Kerry expressed, quote, "Our hope is that this can be the beginning of a new definition of cooperation and capacity to resolve differences between us." End quote. Analysts largely agree that while the rhetoric from both sides during this Kerry trip has been positive, a big bilateral breakthrough this week on climate specifically, or thawing, no pun intended, relations generally, is unlikely. And quickly, one more thing while we're on US-China relations, state-run Xinhua has launched a new commentary series titled "Beware of the Rhetorical Trap of De-Risking." The first article in the series is titled "De-Risking Can Hardly Conceal Its Essence of Containing China." The second, "De-Risking Increases Global Risk." And the third, "Beyond de-risking is the Anxiety of American Hegemony." One analyst, tweeting on the series, took the words right out of my mouth when he observed, quote, "The themes in these articles are familiar. De-risking is just decoupling by another name. It is bad for everyone, and the problems of the US-China relationship are all America's fault." End quote. Next up, where is China's foreign minister? Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode of China Update, don't forget to hit that like button. It's just me making these episodes every day. It's a lot of work, but your guys' support is a huge source of motivation. Subscribing and sharing is a huge help as well, and for those who can go the extra mile and help me keep the channel financially sustainable, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description below. Thank you so much, everybody, for the ongoing support. People's Republic of China Foreign Minister Is Qin Gang has not been seen in public for over 3 weeks. Hong Kong-based South China Morning Post reports that EU Foreign Affairs Chief Josep Borrell has tentatively agreed to visit China in October following a meeting with China's top diplomat Wang Yi in Jakarta last week. We followed this meeting at the time. However, the outlet writes, citing unnamed diplomatic sources, assurances that the meeting would be with Qin Gang could not be given to the Europeans. A second source told the South China Morning Post, quote, "Qin's name didn't even come up during Saturday's meeting with Wang." End quote. Speculations regarding what has happened to the foreign minister are flying and heating to a fever pitch online. This channel, China Update, typically tries to avoid covering speculative rumors. However, it has been 3 weeks now, and we should at the very least observe what people are saying, while noting, of course, that we are currently in no position to judge the veracity of any of these claims. The most salacious and inflammatory, and thus the most circulated rumor online, is that Qin Gang has had an affair and a child with a prominent unmarried Phoenix TV personality, Fu Xiaotian. She also has not been seen since early April, when she posted from a Gulfstream business jet in the United States, which appears to have flown to Beijing, a trip which would have required very high-level official clearance. There is no hard evidence of this being accurate. It's currently just a rumor. What is interesting, however, and what especially flirts with our organs of curiosity, is why have widely circulated articles making this claim online not been censored? Quote, "Whether or not she is related to his absence, there have been several articles on the PRC internet attacking her, which seems interesting given that if the system wanted to protect Qin, it would be easy to scrub her name from the internet. So that, of course, has triggered more speculation." End quote. The only official statement from the Foreign Ministry expressed that Qin was experiencing health issues, so perhaps a heart attack or stroke, maybe emergency surgery of some sort. It's been too long for a flu or COVID or something. The issue with this explanation, however, is that in the past, when senior officials have had some serious health issues or incidents, normally some information is disclosed. The other possibility, of course, is that Qin is in political trouble or facing some sort of disciplinary issue, and is in the process of either being removed or being investigated. Bishop, who we just quoted, on this point observed today, quote, "If this is not a health issue but some sort of disciplinary problem, then it reflects badly on Xi, who promoted Qin ahead of others with more seniority, and on whomever had the task of vetting Qin." End quote. Of course, we have no idea what is happening. Some other YouTube channels claim they know what is happening, but really, this is all just speculation at this point. We will need to wait and see. Qin's last appearance, as of filming, was on June 25th. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you all tomorrow.